this is a disclaimer for this podcast episode because this will be more explicit than most. And then we are also going to be spoiling a lot of games today. We are going to be spoiling Horizon Zero Dawn, Days Gone, both Portals, Halo 3, Gears 3, The Last of Us, Ghost Recon Wildlands, Metro Exodus, GTA 5, Detroit Become Human, The Division 1 and 2, Doki Doki Literature Club, Call of Duty, and we only touch on that. We don't really go into specifics. And then Mirror's Edge, Far Cry 2, and Mass Effect 3. If you want to skip any of those games or multiple of those games, in case you haven't reached the ending yet, then definitely check out the description because we will be setting timestamps for if you want to skip through those games. That way you don't hear the ending of the game. Thanks and enjoy.
This is AFcast, the video game podcast. And here's your host, Malcolm Sheaver.
Video game endings are a very integral part of any video game series or even a standalone game. It can wrap up an entire world, and it can give people a sense of closure. It can give people a sense of wanting more for whatever next game you want. You can even leave these big cliffhangers, that way people are expecting the next game. This week on AFcast, we are talking about video game endings and their impact on us and others, and what they've done for those games. So I'm here with Bryce M and Bryce A.
Hi.
Hi. And the first thing I want to talk about is kind of endings that lead us to expect another game or expect more, kind of. So, like, we have Horizon Zero Dawn, which did a very good job of that, of making, like, someone who you thought was your ally capturing the, like, essentially an essence of darkness that was in this world. And then you've also got Days Gone, which had a really good ending, with basically this government agency being discovered as that, like, a more progressed version of the zombie race that's in the game. And then you've also got, like, the first Portal, which did a really good job of, after you defeat Gladys, you start getting pulled, like, seemingly dragged back into the laboratories. And then you've also got The Last of Us, which is kind of so you expect something, but it was also kind of just a generic ending to a series. Either way, it was really good. And then you've also got things that, like, one of the most important things about an ending is trying to end off a series well. And if you don't do that well, like, Half-Life didn't do that well, in my opinion, because they kind of just left everyone dead and crying.
Well, that's why we have Half-Life 3, but...
Yeah, but we're still waiting for that.
How many years has it been now?
I don't even know. Do you even know the year it came out, Bryce?
No clue.
I just see him counting his fingers. But, like, Portal 2 did a really good job of this, where you're finally just on the surface. Like, Gladys just lets you free at the end of Portal 2. And then you've also got Halo 3, where you destroy the Ark, which essentially destroys the capability of using the Halo rings. And you have to start and, like, people just start going out to discover these Halo rings and do research and stuff. And then you've also got Gears of War 3, which was a... I don't know.
I didn't mean for that to sound so sexual.
But you had Gears of War 3, which was like I don't even know. It was like a bio nuke.
That was when they had the thing to stop the machine to stop the lambent.
Yeah, it's like a bioreactor that just, like, sent out, like, this huge burst that just
Rest in peace,
killed...
Queen Mira and Marcus's father.
Yeah, it just, like, killed off everything. So pretty much, it was like the Halo rings, but for a specific
Except it
thing
kill
on Earth.
Everything.
Yeah, it's true. Also, yeah. But yeah. And then we also have other games that have dual endings, like Ghost Recon Wildlands. They did a really good job with this, because you could either, if you took down, like, part of the operation and you took down Sueño, you would take him into custody, right? And then I think it's when you take down the full operation is when the really good ending was, in my opinion, is when Bowman basically betrays the government, quote unquote, and shoots Sueño in the back of the head.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was actually kind of badass.
Wildlands?
Yes.
Yeah. But that was also a really passionate ending, because that was like, because who is she talking to? The DOJ, Department of Justice, and like they were telling her that Sueño, this huge crime boss selling cocaine to all over the world,
Sounds like my type of guy.
just got immunity because he offered up like heads of a bunch of other drug cartels. So Bowman literally throws down the phone and just yells, "Fuck, fuck, fuck, fuck," like just literally over and over again. And then you're held in suspense until she tells you.
And she also has a very personal connection to the whole story because of Ricky Sandoval.
Yeah.
Who she worked with, and you find out throughout the game that he died, or it's the
that he blew up the embassy.
Yeah, he blew up the embassy, but it was for El Sueño.
Yeah.
Who he's working undercover with, and she has a connection to Ricky Sandoval then, because he's the person that was reporting to her and stuff.
Not to mention that he tortured. Sueño tortured Ricky Sandoval for like, what was it, like 48 straight hours or something like that. Like that's messed up.
That's cool.
Well, technically it wasn't Sueño that did it, but
no, Sueño Sueño technically tortured him. It's just that El Urian or La Urian El Polito kept him alive for Sueño to torture him.
Sounds about right.
But yeah, it was one of those passionate endings, but you could also get the either or, where it's like kind of the less that Bowman witnessed, it wasn't as heavy on her. Especially since like in the game you can also find Ricky's body, and then you also find the taped confession and everything like that. So yeah. So another game with dual endings, but kind of had it in a different sense, was Metro Exodus, because Metro Exodus, they essentially had it so that way different parts of the story, you could either lose part of Artyom's crew either by them dying, or they might have joined another like group, which is what one of them did. One of them got injured and stuff like that. And if any of that happens, because like at the end of the story, you end up getting a lot of like radioactivity going through your system, so you have to like swap out your blood with everybody else who's on your crew. And so even if one of them is dead or not there or is injured, you can't gain enough blood for you to get all that stuff out of your system, and Artyom dies. Which it still leads to a happy ending, it's just a happy ending without Artyom. Or you could have the ending with Artyom that is still a happy ending, and you also have everyone else that was in the crew still there too. So it's a kind of a cool, like nothing really changes too much, but you just kind of have more, if you know what I'm saying. You also have another game like GTA 5, which had an ending that you could choose between. So like you could choose between Michael dying, Trevor dying, or what is supposed to be option C, which is
Franklin dying.
Which actually he ends up getting saved because Michael and Trevor help him fight off all the bad guys, etc., etc., etc. But you get a choice in that. You get a choice in whether or not you actually want to kill Michael and send him flying off a cliff in a car trunk, or you could kill Trevor by lighting him on fire from a gas tank that he crashed into, or you could just hold off this huge group of people. But of course you don't know any of that before you do it, because part of you as the player like feels like, oh, they're not actually going to kill off these characters, but at the same time you're like, you feel responsible as Franklin to say yourself rather than someone else. So it's like it's one of those optional endings that the whole game builds up to, which is same thing with like Life is Strange. Like you have that last decision that you have to make between saving the town and saving your best friend or significant other or whatever the people have made that relationship.
Significant other. It's not.
I couldn't remember, honestly.
It is that they are.
That's the blue-haired chick, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Chloe.
Yeah.
And then you also have a game that is Detroit Become Human, which that decision is made the very first couple minutes that you walk in that you start playing that game. And then you just keep making those decisions throughout the game and like investigating stuff. And every single one of those leads to different endings. I don't know how many. I think there's like over 20 endings to the game.
Probably.
Like, that's how insane it is. Like, even if you go down this entire route, the last decision might still be a decision of 3 things.
Dun, dun, dun.
Like, I know that when I played, I had Marcus set off a dirty bomb inside of a city.
And if you do stuff wrong or right, technically, in Detroit, you can kill off characters really early.
Yeah, like, I killed off, what's her face? Kara, immediately. Like, right as the
I still hate
game
you
started.
for it.
Yeah, I didn't know that I was supposed to actually try to do something. I was kind of just sitting there waiting.
Did he tell you about that?
No, I was sitting there waiting for an option or a prompt to show up for me to do something.
So he went to the bathroom and then came back and was dead.
So there was that.
That's awesome.
He's just sitting there and he's just like, I'll be right back. I go to the bathroom and just dies.
So that was an experience. So I never got to play as Kara throughout that. It was very different when I was watching, because I had Bryce M come over and he was playing Detroit Become Human. It was very different when Kara was actually alive during the story.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. But it was really interesting seeing like your choices versus my choices and how much that actually changed the story.
Yeah.
And then you also have an entire system that tracks what branches you've gone down. So that way you're able to actually go back through and choose different choices to see what other either
Outcomes.
just dialogue or in general outcomes that there are. So moving on from dual endings, I did want to mention the Division 1 and 2 because they have something that's like an end game. Other games do this too, but Division 1 and 2 are definitely the best example, especially Division 2 are probably the best examples of this.
That we've played, at least.
Yeah, that we've played. And so basically, after you complete the main story of Division 1 or 2, you go into an entirely basically new world where you have more like side missions or missions, in which case in the Division 2, you have the Black Tusk invasion, and then there's actually kind of another set of main missions and another storyline, but it's still considered endgame. And that's the thing that I feel like a lot of games should do, like, because it's really cool. It's like, especially in Division 2, once you get to endgame, you have a lot of really cool things. Like, you have the classified assignments, and then you've also got the more, like, you got the invaded missions you can do, and then you can also start messing around with, like, exotic stuff and gear set stuff, and it's just a whole realm of possibility in an endgame. Especially for a game like Division, where the story doesn't actually really matter that much, and where they can continue just adding content after that as well, where it's not a separate storyline DLC, kind of like Sam's story was for Metro Exodus. Instead, they get to just add the storyline right on top of everything else. And then in Division 1, you also had like the incursions, and you also had the underground. The underground was probably one of my favorite DLCs I've ever played in a game, because it varied so much.
And then you had stuff like even survival in Division 1, which was a very good game mode from like just gameplay perspective, but it also brought in a lot of lore to the game for the people that actually liked that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because it brought in like more Hunters lore, because they haven't released anything for
technically
Hunters.
survival was the origin of the Hunters in Division 1.
I thought Underground came out before Survival did.
If it did, then the Hunters were introduced to Underground after Survival. I know Hunters were originated in Survival.
Hunters are scary.
They are very scary. Okay, so for this next portion, I will say a warning, because the next game we're going to talk about, which is Doki Doki Literature Club, is a very messed up game.
If you guys can't really handle like gore and suicide stuff, then skip this.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's just that it involves a lot of the darker elements of life. So yeah, if you can't handle that stuff, then there will be a bunch of timestamps in the description for all the games and stuff like that. You could just skip this game. So,
and if you are gonna listen through it, enjoy.
Yeah, you won't enjoy it.
That was really sexy.
All right, so The reason that we wanted to mention this game is because the endings for this are actually really good. They're just really messed up. Because you have like 4 or 5 different endings for this game.
I think technically there's 3 endings, but
Well, I mean, if you're looking at it like categorically, I guess. So like so the very first ending, you have it where you're just playing the story normally. You don't know that there's anything up necessarily. And it turns out that Sayori has, one of the characters in the game, has depression and she ends up hanging herself.
Thanks, Monica.
Yeah, you'll understand that in a second as well if you don't know this game.
Bitch. Sorry.
All right, so and then after Sayori kills herself, you kind of have like it where the game resets, but then it starts like glitching whenever it would usually have a mention of Sayori.
Because it deletes her character file.
Yeah,
literally from your computer.
It deletes her character file from the computer, which makes the game really interesting.
It really breaks the fourth wall, and that's what makes this game so terrifying.
Yeah. And it's like, and then you end up also having, you have it to the point where like, I mean, Monica's obsessing over you, which is another character.
Yuri.
Well,
they're all
They're
obsessed over you.
they all are.
They're all obsessing over you, but like Yuri ends up like stabbing herself over and over and over again.
Once in the stomach and 3 times in the chest.
But then also what happens is Monica then deletes Natsuki just from the game. Like she literally just deletes her file from the game. And then she puts you in a room with her that you can just infinitely read a chat log between you and her. And you have like 3 hours of a chat before it resets itself.
Yeah.
She has like, I think 45 minutes worth of text, but it's spaced like 10 seconds apart between each time she says something.
Yeah. And so it makes for a really interesting ending. And what you can do as well is then you can go and delete Monica, and then you have a completely different story.
Well, because it's technically the game's broken up into 3 acts. When Sayori kills herself, that's at the end of Act 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you are trapped in the room with Monica, that's the end of Act 2. And after you delete Monica
That's Act 3.
from the game and you restart, that's the Act 3 then of the game.
Yeah, and at the end of that, you have like the credits, and then you also have Monica actually playing the piano, don't you?
And
Yes,
singing.
And singing.
Yeah, and isn't that also just when the whole like when they literally just take down the game? Like it literally just
Everything gets
uninstalls
deleted.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It pulls up the whole console that it does all the other times it deletes stuff and starts typing out the stuff that it's deleting, and you watch it disappear from the screen.
Yeah, and it literally crashes your game, and then you have to reinstall the game if you want to play it again. It's really interesting, and it's something I've never seen a game ever do that before. Like I don't think there's any.
Hey,
other
creators
game
of
that's
Doki
like
Doki Literature Club, sponsor us.
But then there's
that.
even
It's a little late for that.
Oh, man.
When you're trapped in a room-
Second one, possibly. You know what? Look here, Bryce.
when you're trapped in a room with Monica, though, she makes mention of, "Oh, you could have just deleted me before the game began." And if you actually were to do that, it has another ending then.
And this is the ending I got when I played through, which is...
Yeah, because you deleted Monica before you even started the game.
Yeah, after I completed it, I uninstalled, and then I reinstalled it, instantly deleted Monica. And the thing is, the game freaks out. It takes you to a screen that says, "We're all happy now," and it has Sayori hanging from the rope.
Yeah, and it's like this the static screen that you see on TV.
And then the creepy music starts playing.
Yeah, you've got the creepy Doki Doki Literature Club music. It's a really good game, but it's really dark. So, yeah. So now on to the bad ending. So the first thing that we have on here is just the Call of Duty endings, because most of them are pretty bad. I mean, they don't really have... I mean, to be fair, most of the campaigns aren't good also. So it's also kind of just in correlation with that. But like if you're looking for something with a good storyline and a good ending, don't look for Call of Duty games.
Except for Modern Warfare. The Modern Warfare series, I'd say, is the only one that has a good story.
I like the Modern Warfare series.
World at War is also a really good one. Good story.
I kind of liked World at War. But
You get to play as Reznov.
than the
Or no, you play as Dimitri, but you follow Reznov.
It is better than the other Call of Duty stories, I'll give it that.
It's better than all the Treyarch ones.
Yeah, definitely.
Because World at War was made by Treyarch.
Treyarch Fixer game.
So another game that I wanted to mention was Mirror's Edge, because the entire game was a means to an end. Like, it was literally... Like it's just. It was just annoying because the entire time you were combating this huge like government agency, and like that's a cool story, but like at the ending nothing really changed. I mean, sure, you took down some servers that they can repair in a couple days.
Geek Squad.
Yeah, you get the Geek Squad down there to repair the servers, and then Bryce is giving me a glare right now. And if it like not only will you get like shutting down the mayor's stuff and all of that, but like all of the runners either turn coats or die or get locked up. So it sucked. Like there was no point to playing the game because all of it was just a means to an end. So, and then you also had Far Cry 2, which the game was good, but first of all, you have to kill your friends who stole your stuff so that way all of your friends could escape, even though your friends were going to steal the stuff so that way they could escape without you. So
Cool.
Makes sense.
yeah,
Treyarch, fix your game.
because you like your group had a bunch of diamonds that they're going to use to escape, right? And then the rest of the group decided to basically out you or something and come after the diamonds, and you killed all of your friends. And then
Sounds a lot like real life.
yeah, and it's just I don't know, it's dumb.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? Don't do heists with people you don't trust.
And basically you can either give a choice with killing yourself then or just killing yourself later in the ending. And then you also never get a ending for the jackal. So basically you do everything in the game so that way the main villain can just disappear, and then you kill yourself and literally all of your friends. And then you also have Mass Effect 3, which everyone knows that the entire Mass Effect series was just really bad.
The ones before Mass Effect 3 were fairly good.
Yeah, 1 and 2 were
They were okay.
They were okay.
Then you have Mass Effect 3, which is
Garbage.
Yeah. And like because they built up the choice of or like they built up the idea of having a choice throughout the entire game where it just led to the same ending either way. Like, and nothing really changed throughout the story either. Like there wasn't much of a difference at all. And it was just a really dumb story in general, which made the ending really bad as well. So like you have to really have a good story in order to have a good ending for especially a series.
yeah.
Because this was an entire series. Like, come on, guys.
Isn't there a fourth one now?
Andromeda.
Yeah, and which Andromeda is even worse than 3 somehow.
Yeah, Mass Effect 3 was kind of, oh, you did all this throughout the game? 3 choices. What do you want your ending to be?
Yeah, and it was basically the same ending anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Wah, wah, wah,
And
wah.
there's like a couple other games that did this, like Life is Strange, Arkham Knight, the Telltale version. Yeah.
All Telltale games.
Yeah, pretty much all Telltale games gives you that false sense of having a choice. One cool thing that I liked about Horizon Zero Dawn, but it didn't really have much of an effect on the game, is that you could choose to either have a you could either choose to be basically a dick to what you're saying, or
You are what you eat.
or you could say it in like a more loving way, or you could say it in a smart way, like a smart-ass way. So, and that
Hey.
kind of changed your conversations
You're a
and your relationships with people, but yeah. So those were the game endings. So yeah, game on.
Find AFcast on Instagram and Twitter at AF Community for any updates on future podcast episodes. If you want to join the community Discord, find the link in the description or on the website, afcommunity.com. Special thanks to DJ Augie for making the music for this podcast.